Hello and welcome back to Games Embassy with the Ambassadors of Gaming. I am one of your army of hosts, Ambassador Chris.
And I'm Ambassador Michael.
And welcome to our corner of the internet where we have news about stuff. Micah, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. It's been, we had our wedding shower last night, so that was interesting. And then we drove all the way back here. So I've been up since like 6 a.m.
Yeah, I've still got to write a best man speech, so
Oh yeah, you should do that.
I will get on that.
Please.
The one at my cousin's wedding, I wasn't too
fond
of. My sister's was too cheesy too. My sister did one where it's like talking about dictionary definitions, and I was like, oh god.
Yeah, but that's definitely our sister for sure.
Yeah, and then if you can't tell, I'm not really sick anymore, but I am still super congested, and it's really
the worst.
Annoying. So good stuff. But why don't you go ahead and take us into our Patreon plug?
Of course. So we have a nice Patreon page where you can get some cool perks and goodies like early access to shows, getting your comments, questions, and concerns read on the show, and exclusive content. If you'd like to support the show and get some goodies, you can do so over at patreon.com/ambassadors of gaming. Our exclusive this month was 4 hours of podcasting. Insane. For $1. I dare you. Find a better value. I dare you.
4 hours of podcasting.
4 hours. Me and two of our nice British blokes, Billy and Daryl. First time we got Daryl on the mic. So it was good.
Huh. Good stuff. I was gonna say Daryl does most of our game reviews
and reviews. Yeah. So it was nice to sit down with him, and actually the focus was on reviews and whether or not reviewers were out of touch, and or maybe are we as an audience out of touch? And so we had a nice long discussion about that.
Yeah, 4 hours long. Sounds like.
Well, we used very specific examples too, so we went game by game. So
going into updates, announcements, and other miscellaneous news. Rockstar has no plans for single-player DLC for Red Dead 2. The studio said that they are 100% focused on the online, and I guess I kind of get that. I mean,
right.
GTA 5 is still is a game that's aged very well,
right?
And it's almost all of its DLC is focused on online, so I can definitely see why they're sticking with that trend and going, "Hey, the single player was a really nice thing." But now that the online is here, we're going to try and make this the next GTA 5.
Basically, because they get to just quietly sit there and make absurd amount of money. Like, nobody thought about GTA 5 for a while until we saw the news that it became the highest grossing piece of entertainment ever made.
Yeah.
We're like, holy crap, they've made that much money?
And they got casinos too now.
Right. To be fair, is that still active given like Endgame and all that? Do you happen to know that? If GTA 5 is still the highest grossing piece of entertainment, I assume that it still is.
I don't know. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah. So they made the most money out of anything ever made, basically, for entertainment purposes. So, which is crazy. But yeah, they're gonna make that cash cow. However, I was hoping for some single player, but Red Dead 2 is massive. So
yeah,
I think they did just fine. Anyways. Bloodstained is getting a patch for Switch performance, and God knows we need it.
I was gonna say I remember you were upset when you bought Bloodstained, and it was really awful.
Yeah, I'll get into it here in a second. The game is getting the patch in early November to address the terrible performance on Switch. So that's basically just the release date. Yeah, the performance on Switch is terrible. The game looks terrible. It plays terrible. It's probably the worst looking game I've ever played on Switch. It's the worst performing game I've ever played on Switch. It's the only game that's ever crashed on my Switch. Frame rate hiccups consistently with stuff not even being that intricate going on. Textures look terrible. It's just not like the game was not ready. Like, they should have just pushed it like they have with all other Switch releases and been like, look, we didn't plan on making this. It needs more time. And I would have bought it.
They just pulled a BioWare and released it hoping that it wouldn't be that bad.
Pretty much. We'll get into it later, but basically, I'm going to give it a shot on Xbox next and see if it's any better. But I've heard pretty much the same complaints, is that it's really ugly at certain points in the game, even on consoles, or the higher end consoles. So we'll see, but I'll give it another shot on Xbox and see how that goes. So.
All right. Walt Disney and Sony agree to bring shows to PlayStation View. Disney will bring sports, news, and entertainment networks to PlayStation View. The networks include stuff like FX, National Geographic, ESPN, and ACC.
Right. I threw this in there because we were talking about it before the show started, but this came out like literally right before the Spider-Man news. And so the only reason I wanted to throw it in there was be like, wow, they can work together on this, but not on Spider-Man. And then they did.
And then they did do it on Spider-Man. So
yeah. So they really showed me.
Yeah.
Like I literally tweeted out, I was like, oh, they can work together. And 20 minutes later, I had to retweet, I had to follow up and be like, never mind, with the Spider-Man article. So they definitely got it handled. So I don't know. Anyways, PlayStation View is a thing that some people pay for. So let's move on to stuff that actually matters. Oculus Quest introduces hand tracking. This is super cool. Did you see this at all?
Oculus Quest, is this the new one that you don't? It's independent of a PC.
Yes. They did a whole thing, and it's like they're trying to move away from the old one, is my understanding, and let this be like the base model. But anyways, I'll go into it when we can discuss it. So using tech that is way too fancy for us to explain, Oculus has announced that the company is launching the tools for developers to use this control scheme early next year, and should allow developers to launch projects quickly. Hand tracking is exactly what it sounds like. You use your hands as controllers, which is basically what VR is always used as. In VR, you're almost always just using virtual hands.
Yeah, but you're also holding a controller, though.
Right.
I don't know if this means that like you won't be using a controller and it will literally just track your hands.
It literally is just tracking your hands.
Yeah, because for the Vive, you hold those controllers.
Yeah, and Oculus still has the same thing. But this is literally no controller, just your hands. Like you just go and you just reach out and grab stuff, which is super cool. I'm sure it'll be a little disorienting because like in the game, you'll see yourself grabbing something, but like you'll not be feeling anything in your hand, you know?
Yeah.
So, but it is really cool. Oculus is making some cool advancements, so I really wanted to talk about that and kind of highlight it.
Doesn't Facebook own them?
Yeah, they do, which is unfortunate, but you know, it is what it is.
All right. Xbox Project xCloud launches into beta next month. And this is in the US, UK, and Korea. You can sign up to be part of the program, I think now. Program is only available on Android. Not that surprising. Halo 5, Gears 5, Killer Instinct, and Sea of Thieves will be the first available titles to play.
Right.
And Halo 5 has enough issues playing on console. So
yeah, I'm sure streaming it'll be not terrible.
We don't know if they ever fixed it. I
refuse to go back.
I refuse to even
go back and look at this point. Yeah, Halo 5 is definitely one of the worst games I played this generation in terms of being disappointing. But anyways, I signed up for this. However, I have to go back over and look at the contract stuff to see if there's an NDA. I assume there is. So by chance, if any of us get into it, we'll discuss, our experiences if we're legally allowed. As pretty much everybody in everyone in Ambassadors is in the US or the UK. So, and a good portion of us have Androids, not all of us though. So, definitely interested in this, and we'll kind of see how it goes. Because Phil Spencer has been saying good things about it, but he's Phil Spencer.
He is.
So
he's the president of Xbox.
Yeah, of course he's going to say nice things about the company he runs.
He's not going to go like, hey, our new platform that's going out, solid C plus, needs some work. Please buy it.
Right. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I'm really interested to see the feedback either way. If I can experience it myself, that would be preferable. Because I don't think any of us are really sold on the whole streaming thing yet. So
no, absolutely not.
Right. So let's get into Sony's state of play thing, which is I don't think you saw this, but we discussed this, me and Billy, last time. WB was teasing like a Batman announcement. They've been teasing it for like a week now. And I went to type out like, oh, it'd be really cool if they announced this at the state of play. That'd be like a big win for Sony. You know what I mean? To have like a really big, cool announcement. And it autocorrected state of play to state of okay. And I was like, that's more accurate. State of okay.
That's pretty good. I like that.
Is pretty accurate. So I think I'll just call it that for going forward.
Yes.
The Last of Us Part 2 is releasing in on February 21st, 2020. Much sooner than I expected. But welcomed nonetheless. the demo of Medieval, which they apparently call Medieval. Have you ever heard anybody call it that?
No, that's strange.
Okay, it's gross. I don't like it. Anyways, it's available now. The limited edition Death Stranding PS4 Pro is going to be launching alongside the game on November 8th. It has handprints. It's white. It looks kind of cool. It has
Why
a weird
would you
yellow
buy
controller.
a PS4 now?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. At this point, save your money. It is going to be in your best interest to just save your money and pay the extra $100 or $200 to get a PS5 if you really want a PlayStation.
Next gen.
Yeah, I've discussed that with a few people because I discussed it with Manny, our friend Manny. He was like, "Oh yeah, I'm thinking about getting an X," and I was like, "No, don't do that. Just if you can hold out another year,
yeah, just wait
get
for
an
the
X.
new.
And if you can't, just go buy an S. Just go buy an S super cheap. Like go buy a used S. You can buy it for like $150. So, but yeah, at this point, just wait. Honestly,
Yeah.
So, but anyways, probably because people will buy it. You know, so it's a limited edition. It comes with the game. So yeah, it'd be like that. Humanity by Enhanced Games and the limited LTD is launching 2020. I don't really even know what that was about. I watched it and still had no idea what it was about. Wadam by Katamari Damacy creator. Kita Takahashi is coming in December. Arise, a simple story, is coming to PlayStation 4, quote, soon. LA Noire, the VR case files, is currently out on PSVR. Civ 6 is coming out on PlayStation 4 in November. And lastly, they announced that the PlayStation Plus games for October would be MLB The Show and The Last of Us Remastered. So, to be honest, pretty good games. I don't care about MLB, but The Last of Us Remastered free is
Yeah, Last of Us Remastered being free, that's kind of nice.
Yeah. At this point, though, I'm sure they've milked as many sales as they could out of it because it came out.
Don't say milked. Don't use milked as a verb. I don't like it.
Okay. They have extracted as many
that's
sales.
Somehow worse.
How is extracted worse? How does it bother you even more?
Because of how you said you're like, they have extracted.
They have accumulated as many sales as they possibly can. Is that better?
That's better, yes.
Okay, great. I'm sure because it's been in like the PlayStation hits forever. So it's only like $20, like at its most expensive right now. So whatever. Apparently, they didn't have anybody who wanted to sign up for PlayStation Plus because they own both of these games. So that's weird. But anyways.
Oh, crap. Yeah.
I'll let you
All right. New games and release dates. The ports of Baldur's Gate games have been delayed until October.
Boo.
But the games that were added to Game Pass for the Xbox were Jump Force, Bloodstained, and Lego Wars. Or Lego Worlds. Lego Wars. Yes.
Oh, I would like to see that. That would be good. On PC, you're getting Cities Skylines, Saints Row 4, Bad North, and Dirt Rally 2.0. This is what I was talking about with Bloodstained. It's on Game Pass. I might as well try it out and see if it's any good. So I was surprised by Jump Force. Didn't that came out late last year? Early this year?
I think so. I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't know. Game Pass is my indicator if a game didn't sell well. Like if it comes to Game Pass the same year it came out, I'm like, this didn't sell well, clearly.
Okay, but shouldn't they be trying to do that more? Because I can tell you the main reason that I didn't want to buy Game Pass, aside from the fact that games can be taken off of Game Pass,
right,
was the fact that like new titles that come out.
Right.
Like, what if? I don't know if this is a good example. Like let's say the new Halo game is the brand new Halo game immediately going to come to Game Pass.
Yes,
it is.
Yeah, Gears 5 was available on launch day.
Oh, those are first-party titles, but there might be some that aren't first-party titles.
Well, yeah. Some not first-party titles are available launch day, but they're very rare, and it's almost always indie games that launch. But like Outer Worlds came out on Game Pass, and it was really good. So it's hit or miss, honestly. So, but I'm definitely interested to see how it does going forward. Yeah, because like if I can get Halo day one Game Pass, and I don't have to shell out $60 for it. That'd be awesome. That'd be a huge win for them on whatever next gen, being able to launch with Game Pass.
You bought us Game Pass, didn't you?
I did. I like it a lot. I honestly like with my time with it. There's only been like once or twice where they were like, "Oh, we're removing this game," and I was like, "Damn, I haven't gotten to playing it." But then I'm like, I got all these new games to play. Let's play them instead. So it's not as painful as you would think. If it was like if it was like Destiny or like Rocket League or something they pulled, then I'd be like, I don't know if that was a good idea. But
Yeah.
It is what it is.
All right. Let's move on to some news. Starting out, Last of Us 2 will not have multiplayer. Naughty Dog has stated that the studio decided to not put multiplayer back in the sequel. The studio has said that instead the multiplayer will be branching out into its own experience. However, they did not give us any further details. So was there like a PvP mode in Last of Us 2 or like a horde mode?
It was a PvP mode. Player and both players took the sides of other players, but the reason why people like The Last of Us multiplayer was because it was almost identical to the gameplay inside of the game, but it focused more heavily on crafting. So you went in and I think you only had like a pistol or like a bow or something, and it was very much like Gears and Halo, where you have to go pick up like power weapons and like craft stuff during the match. So it was very like not only skill based, but also like, okay, everybody starts out on the same playing field.
So it was PvP though.
Yeah, it was online PvP. Yeah, and it was okay. It was actually pretty good. I enjoyed it.
That seems rather tacked on, considering there was no focus on PvP in the game at all. Like,
right, it was. It definitely felt tacked on, but it wasn't bad. That's why people gave it a pass. Versus like the Uncharted games. The Uncharted games that have multiplayer weren't good. Like people don't like it, which is weird because it's the same studio, you know. But my guess is that ultimately they were like Sony came and talked with them, and they sat down and they were like, all right, look, when can you get this game out? We want it out before PS5, probably before the reveal of the PlayStation 5, right? And they were like, look, like we could do it, but we have to cut the multiplayer. And they'd be like, fine, that's fine. Launch it on PS5. We don't care. You know, that would be my guess, but I don't know.
I wonder when they say it'll be its own experience, does that mean like you can play as both Joel and Ellie at the same time, maybe?
I'm not sure because I'm sorry. The multiplayer experience that they're talking about is probably the PvP aspect. So the PvP will be its own game, but I'm not sure you can charge people that.
How can you do that?
Yeah, I'm not sure that people are going to want to pay for that. That's why I'm thinking Sony doesn't have any free to play first party like multiplayer stuff. So I was thinking that would probably be a good launch on PlayStation 5. You know what I mean? Like, all right, here's PlayStation 5, day one, free to play. You can play The Last of Us multiplayer. I think that would be an okay way to launch because the problem with launch is always that there's never any games or not enough games, you know, to play on your new system. So
yeah.
We'll see though. It's a very strange situation.
I feel like that's a hollow complaint. Like people can't complain about that. I'm sorry, you don't have a right to complain about that. It's a brand new console. It's a brand new console. Right. People don't push out games that quickly.
Right. Only the first parties do, and it's so you'll go and buy the system.
Yeah, you can't like buy a console and then instantly go, "Hey, this has no games to play." Well, no crap. Right. It's a brand new console.
Thankfully, it sounds like they learned that lesson from this gen. And they're both going to be backwards compatible. So with the new Xbox, you'll just be able to have Game Pass and just play everything on Game Pass or buy the next gen games. And then with PS5, you'll be able to back gen play all the PS4 games. So, you know, so if you miss out on whatever The Last of Us, you can just buy your PS5 and then buy The Last of Us 2.
Or what they should do, which I think this would be really cool, is that if there are games that are, I'm going to use Destiny as an example because I always use Destiny as an example. So let's say they release Destiny for PS5.
Right.
Okay. I think a really good deal would be that if you own it on PS4, they give you the PS5 copy of it.
Right. I think we discussed this a bit because I could be wrong. So I think Ubisoft did that with PlayStation 4. With Black Flag. They had some weird thing with Black Flag and PS4. I think you could insert the disc from the PS3 version and it would download the PS4 version and like upres it. Because of the way it came out was super weird.
Yeah.
I think it'll probably just be
with Minecraft. When you bought the Xbox One, if it saw that you owned the 360 version, they gave you the one version.
That's a good idea. That is a good idea. I think personally that the PS5 and the new Xbox will be more of a Pro X situation where they're like, oh, it's basically the same operating system, basically the same, whatever.
Oh, so there won't be like a new game type. Like it
Yeah,
won't
it
be
won't be a
like,
remaster or whatever, or an upres. It'll just be like, here's a new update. We updated it for the new systems.
so
That
I'll
would be
still
my
own it already. Okay.
yeah. That would be my assumption is that they're just like, okay, the in quotes PS5 in quotes new Xbox version is just a patch, basically. Would be my guess. Except for maybe Activision. I feel like Activision would probably try to sell Call of Duty as like its own thing. But we'll see. So there's gonna be a Call of Duty that year. There always is. I wonder how that's
Yeah.
gonna work out for them because the systems are gonna launch after Call of Duty does next year.
Speaking Call of Duty news, that we're gonna have some good stuff toward the end.
Oh, dude, it's
Yeah.
so good. It's so good. It's so bad. It's so good. Anyways, let's move on. Developer Frogwares gets into it with Focus Home Interactive. The
They
people
make
who have
these
been publishing
Sherlock
their
Holmes
games.
games.
Yep. The studio announced via its Twitter that its games would be delisted due to issues it was having with the publisher. The license Focus Home has to publish Frogwares games has expired, and as such, the company wants the licenses to publish back as the studio owns the IP. For us laymen's, what that means is that Focus Home has a content and title ID that they don't want to give back. So Focus Home has stated that they have a new policy that they will not give out these IDs, the content ID and the title ID, to any studio that has decided to remove their games from Focus Home's portfolio. Something that was not in the original contract they had with Frogwares.
I'm pretty sure you can't do that then.
Yeah, that's not how that works.
Pretty sure
At least
that'll
not
go
in
to
the US.
That'll go to court. Hey, remember that contract you signed? I'm gonna amend it and add something that
Yeah,
wasn't agreed upon.
unless your contract specifically states that you can make amendments to it, and even then, nobody. I haven't ever heard of anybody sign a contract that's been like, yes, all right, we're gonna sign this contract. I can amend it, but you can't.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
outrageous.
that would be a terribly stupid.
Get a lawyer. It won't last long.
Yeah, I'm sure this will get sorted very quickly. You were explaining to me that I was under the impression that this basically meant they couldn't publish the games. But what you were telling me earlier is that it's just the store pages, right?
It's this weird thing from what I've come to understand. It's like if say you search a game on the Xbox store and you
Right.
see it has its reviews, it has like, its purchase record, it has like the review scores, like a graph and everything.
Sure.
And supposedly they own the right to that. And what would have to happen maybe is that it has to be taken down and then put back up.
Right, which means they lose everything.
Which means that, they lose all that, like those review scores and stuff that they've been working with. And I don't know if that's the whole meat and potatoes of it. I'm probably dumbing it
It's a
down
very
a lot.
basic
But
idea.
it's something along those lines. And they're like, well, we don't want to like restart everything when we've got reviews and stuff up there.
Right, especially if the reviews are positive, because that makes an impact on your sales. Because people don't want to buy a shitty game, but
I also don't want to buy a game that's old and has no reviews.
Yeah,
that
that's gonna look worse. It's gonna look super skeptical because then it's gonna be like, all right, nobody's bought this game or whatever, and it resets their sales data. You said so, like you don't know how many people bought it, and the majority of their sales are gone. So like they might get a handful of sales, but then it's like, okay, like 25 people bought this game. It's been out for 6 years. Like that's gonna look really bad. So I don't know. This all legal stuff is really dumb. But I'm sure they have a lawyer. I'm sure they're getting it sorted. So hopefully it works out for the best for them.
All right. So moving on to the next piece of news. Call of Duty gets exclusivity heat. Great.
Shocking.
I mean, Call of Duty's been getting
so
heat.
surprised.
Call of Duty has been getting heat over the last few generations with loot boxes, but then again, who hasn't? Putting their pay-to-win mechanics in.
Right.
And the fact that their yearly release kind of things isn't doing them much better because it makes me feel like the game quality has gone down.
For sure.
Just in general, the game quality has gone down. Maybe that's just me. I feel like if you work on a Call of Duty, I wonder, do you really care about it?
Yeah, it's gotta. I don't know. It's gotta be. It's the same thing about. Like it's the same thing. We talk about there where it's like this is really like a weird. I don't know. A lot of people I think use it as a resume thing. As a developer.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, this looks. I worked on Madden. Like that's pretty impressive on a resume.
Yeah, but it's one of those things I'm talking about. Like, let's say The Last of Us. People that made The Last of Us, they take a lot of pride in the fact that like this game was beautiful. This game had an amazing story.
Right.
it didn't have a perfect happy ending. It's very real, it's very human, it's something to be proud of. But it makes me wonder if the people who work on Call of Duties like every year, if they just kind of don't care about it.
Yeah,
Do
probably
you know what I'm
not.
saying?
Yeah, I get where you're coming from. It definitely feels lackluster, but I also feel like there's probably a lot of constraints from Activision. Like, okay, here's your whatever year budget for the year next couple of years to get the next COD out. And I get the feeling that that budget hasn't increased very much, if I have to
Yeah.
guess, which is
Also, the
why
next
they.
Call of Duty getting a year less to work on it because of all that stuff with Raven and Sledgehammer
Yeah,
is
I'm sure the next Call of Duty will be great.
is going to
Sure, it'll be
make this
awesome.
fun. I'm sure it'll be absolutely amazing. But so going on to it, the new model was announced at Sony's State of Play and has gotten some pretty crazy backlash. The new game's Special Ops Survival Mode will be completely exclusive to the PS4 version and not on PC or Xbox for an entire year. The entire Spec Ops mode is not exclusive to the PS4, just that kind of survival horde mode. And I think the thing that has people super burnt over this is the fact that they say it's only exclusive for a year. But
Right.
but Call of Duty is a yearly release.
Right, which means the next Call of Duty comes out before you can even play this on Xbox or PC.
Or around the same time that you play it.
Right.
It makes
And
it
no one's gonna want to go back.
you may as well have just said it's exclusive to PlayStation.
Yeah, you might like what so it is really dumb. And then, people, of course, we were talking about it earlier, with the devs. They got mad at Infinity Ward and they're like, dude, what the fuck? And they were like, look, it's not we didn't make this decision.
Yeah,
We
I
couldn't
know
make this decision.
didn't the narrative director say it was something over like above their heads? And it is important.
He said it was
to
above his pay
remember.
grade.
It is
basically.
important to remember that a lot of these people just work there.
Right.
They're
employees.
programmers or they design art.
There's creatives.
A lot of stuff decisions are made above their heads, and it's important to kind of remember that when you lash out at some of these devs.
Right.
But
I think Angry Joe made a good comparison where he's like, Sony just pulled up with a dump trunk of money, and Activision was like, yeah, sure, here you go, take it, we don't care.
Yeah, I think we've gone over this before. This is another reason that I've really not been a fan of Sony over the past few years.
Yeah,
they are, to me, it's the equivalent of a kid on the playground who gets to the bin full of the kickballs and gets the good kickball.
Right.
Now,
and then he just hogs it.
Now he doesn't want to even play a game with the good kickball. He just wants it, and then won't share it with other people.
Pretty much.
We've gone through these issues mainly with crossplay and cross save. It's been the big thing. Sony has not been on board, and it makes sense. They're making all their money. They don't want to share.
Right.
And we've used the example before where basically the argument came up is that if you buy, say, a Fortnite skin on Xbox and then go and play over on PlayStation, they're like, you didn't buy that skin on our platform. We don't want you to have access to it.
Right.
We didn't see any share of that income. Why are you using it on our?
Right.
So, but I digress. This is just another issue that people have been having. It's like where the world is going towards crossplay, cross save, not really big exclusivity things. But Sony's here to tell you, no, we still want some exclusivity.
Yeah, they're very hesitant on that. I don't know. I hate the Call of Duty thing. Like, to be fair, you and I have had this discussion because when Call of Duty was exclusive to Xbox, we talked about this, and we had talked about it a few times. We're like, it's kind of stupid that you have to like wait 3 weeks if you're on PlayStation, but whatever. We're on Xbox, so we don't really give a shit. Like, but we were also like still in high school when this was happening. But then when they switched over to PS4, it was like this big deal. Because as soon as that happened, I was like, well, there you go. You got, and I use this very loosely, but I use it because it's easier than trying to explain the group of people I'm talking about. But casuals, like the Call of Duty casuals, like you won them over with that because they're not going to want to wait a month. They only really play a handful of games, and Call of Duty's one of them. And it's like, well, I could just buy a PlayStation. It's cheaper. It plays apparently better, and I get stuff first. So why would I not buy a PlayStation? That's been a huge boon for them. The problem is that Sony, a lot of the bad moves they've made, they've seen good outcomes for. So, however, with the crossplay stuff, we talked about this. I'm not sure if I think we talked about it before we started recording, but like they basically lost me and you on that. We're like, no, I'm not going to play on your system then if you're going to be that way.
Yeah,
like I'll just go to Xbox then.
For me, once again, big Destiny player. I knew when I heard that cross save, when I saw the Google Stadia presentation where they were talking about how Destiny 2 has the cross save is working with everything, and then at the bottom it says waiting for approval from Sony.
Right.
I can tell you that even though I put so many hours into that game, if they did not allow crossplay, I would have just said screw it and started over, because I don't think it's worth it on the PlayStation anymore. I'm sick of them just how they've been treating their audience and stuff.
They've not been doing great. They've been getting pretty arrogant. And I think that's, don't get me wrong, it's obviously due to PS4 success, but you can't ride that wave into PS5. Like you just can't.
You know what happens? You get an Xbox One release.
Yeah, basically.
We've talked about this so many times. The pendulum of poop. Yeah. That's exactly what this is.
And that's where this is going to head. Because like one of the discussions, because you and I aren't super ingrained in gaming culture outside of ambassadors and my involvement in fanboys, because I don't really go into like Reddit or any of that kind of crap. But I do listen to PlayStation podcasts specifically. I used to listen to Beyond, and then I listened to PS I Love You, and now I listen to Sacred Symbols, and these are PlayStation focused. And one of the big issues that they talk about is that like people love the PlayStation 4. Like you're going to have a really hard time breaking these people off of PlayStation 4 to buy a PS5. If it plays the games well enough and all their friends are still playing on PlayStation 4, why is there any reason for them to buy a PS5? Like people are really happy with their PS5s or PS4s, So why would they go and upgrade if they're just okay with what they already have, and you're going to keep getting games for the next couple of years or whatever, Yeah,
that's a good point. They'll have to make it crappier so that you'll go and
they're going to pull an Apple and they're going to push out an update and make it run like crap.
Yeah, so that you have to go buy the newer model. That's smart. I wouldn't put it past Sony.
I feel like that happened with my Pro, but incidentally. They didn't mean for it to happen, but it has.
All right, so. let's move on to the next piece. I like this piece.
Let's say good stuff about Sony instead. So Sony has decided to drive a stake right through GameStop slowly.
The only thing we hate more than Sony is
GameStop, basically. And the only thing we brag on is EA and GameStop. The company announced that you can purchase items from them directly now, shipping and all. The store currently sells systems, PSVR, controllers, and PlayStation Plus vouchers, as well as select few retail versions of games. Obviously, you can buy all of them digitally. At this time, there is no price difference, however, between ordering directly through PlayStation or doing so through a retailer. So basically, they're just setting up for next gen, and if GameStop collapses before, PS5 launches.
But they're remodeling their stores into hip internet cafes.
Okay.
With consoles. Don't you know?
I do know, and I'm not
GameStop's
interested.
here to stay.
I don't know about that. All right, let me put it this way. GameStop's stock has become so bad that it's affordable for me. And we make jokes about me being homeless all the time.
Dude, don't you know? Any good company lays off almost all of their upper division staff.
GameStop is the Cleveland Browns of retailers.
Ooh.
They're just restructuring. Don't worry.
Ooh.
It'll be better next year. Chris and I are from Cleveland as well as Adam. So, yeah, if you're a sports fan and you know anything about the Cleveland Browns, they're fucking terrible. Yeah, so anyways, I'm okay with this. I'm glad for this. If I can buy a PS5 straight through PlayStation and I can get it day of without having to go to a store, that would be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah,
I'd like that.
I would even pay for the extra shipping or whatever at that point, just so that we can get some coverage out and whatever. I'm impatient. So, and if I know PlayStation, they're going to release it on a Friday. That seems to be the move that they make now, is release games on Friday so that people have all weekend to play, which should have been done sooner in my opinion, but here we are. So do you have any opinions on that? Because we were talking about it before and I was like, I wasn't sure that you could buy Xboxes directly, but you corrected me that you can.
Yeah, Microsoft Store, you can buy all that stuff from.
Right. And they have a retail version as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have their Microsoft stores they made to compete with the Apple stores.
Right. How's that been working out for them? That's
I
not a
don't know.
sarcastic question. It's just a legit question.
I good story. I'll have to tell. I got asked to leave a Microsoft store because I was raging.
Oh yeah,
I've
was that
already
when
told
they,
you.
they
I've
destroyed
already
your computer?
Yeah, that was when they made my computer worse.
Classic Windows.
Yeah,
They updated it and made it worse.
They made my computer worse. I was having an issue and they made it worse. The start button wouldn't work in the programming, and then they're like, all right, let me take a look. And then he made it worse, so the touchscreen didn't work either.
Jesus.
And then he's like, oh, well, it's a software issue, so we can't really do anything about it. And I was like, well, you made it worse.
Yeah.
Like, and then on top of that, they were being super condescending. I had the previous model of a Surface Pen, like from last year. And this dude was like, and I was having issues with that too. And he was like, I don't know where you got this. Like talking about it as if it was some sort of archaic piece of like,
Yeah.
I'm
where
like,
did you find this
I
thing?
bought it right in this store last year. But
right.
from what I can tell, the stores do pretty well. That
I
was like
think
a
you just had
one-time.
one-off.
Yeah, that was like a
bad
one-time experience. Yeah.
Yeah. That's obnoxious. But anyways, they were jerks, basically, is the point of the story. So we'll see about this. I think but they definitely are setting up for the demise of GameStop because it's gonna be a huge hit for gaming, but they still have Target, they still have Walmart, they still have Amazon. So like they'll be just fine in selling hardware. But if this was 10 years ago, maybe it would have been a problem. So, but I guess that's what happens,
Yeah.
That GameStop ate everybody up. They monopolized basically, and then they were dicks to all of us. And then when we told them to screw off,
not just to all of us, their employees too. Yeah,
their employees too. We were talking about that too. They treat their employees terribly, so nobody wants to work for them. So,
what do you mean that you don't want to buy this used copy of Overwatch for $30 more? I don't understand.
You mean to tell me I can trade in a game that I bought for $60? You'll give me $30, and then you'll sell it back to me for $55.
They won't give you $30.
No, they'll give you like 20, 25.
20 would be optimistic.
Depends on the game.
I'm pretty confident I have never seen GameStop, and I know this isn't the fault of the employees. They're just doing their job. I know that. I'm pretty confident I've never seen someone get back money for a game that was over $20 for turning in a game. I don't think I've ever seen it. I'm sure it has happened, but I myself have not seen it.
That's a good question. I have to think back. I don't recall ever getting more than $20 by a single game. And if I did, it was like some crazy promotion that I got it in. Yeah. It was like a very off the wall, like not standard thing. So
200% trade value or some BS.
Basically. I was hoping GameStop would last long enough for next gen to come out so I can trade in my Pro. That was kind of my hope, but it doesn't seem like that's going to happen at this point.
Yeah, they'll give you like $20 for it.
I will give you a nickel and a pence for your Pro.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds like a terrible idea.
I'll give you $8 worth of store credit.
Jesus.
All right, let's move on.
Please.
Oh yeah, my bad. That's me. Sorry. DayZ charges for a second map, even though it's still broken and stupid. Earlier this week, it was announced that the game will be receiving a new paid map, and this has understandably upset players as the base game is still incredibly buggy.
Yeah, DayZ's horrible. Like that's the basis of it. I played it when it first came out on PS4, the Battle Royale, and it was. And at this point, I had played basically every Battle Royale. I'd played PUBG, I'd played Fortnite, I hadn't played the King of the Hill one. I think that was actually made by these guys. And so I'd played like the majority of them. And this one was by far the worst. It's by far the smallest. It's the ugliest, which says a lot because PUBG is ugly, like really, really ugly. And it's just not good. So like, to be fair, it's free to play, but it's also complete crap. So, Fortnite's not complete crap and it's free. So,
good. I'm happy. Yep. That's great. Oh yeah,
it's more or less
happy. I'm so freaking pumped. Yeah.
don't know why you're so excited about that being annoying,
Yeah.
but sure. Right.
So ready.
There's not really much to discuss about that. So yeah, it's just kind of crappy of them, and I'm gonna
Now,
move on.
now we get to my favorite.
Oh yeah, this is the best. So unsurprisingly, Switch Lite owners have joined the class action lawsuit for Joy-Con drift. According to Polygon, the lawsuit has been expanded to include those affected by Joy-Con drift on the Lite. Some saying the drift started within the first few hours of use. That is horrible.
I
Genuinely awful.
I was right, as I often am.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I was right. I said I'm not buying a Switch Lite because I'm a collector as well
Right.
as a gamer, and so even if I don't exactly need it,
right?
yeah, I have
And-
we have I believe a total of 6 DSs, all of which are
Lord.
either 3DS variants, except one, which is a DS Lite.
Yeah.
Um, but
So you don't mind shelling out the extra money for
no, absolutely not.
additional
And they're collectors models. I got
Yeah.
the NES one, the Galaxy style, all that stuff.
right.
But I said, Nintendo has acknowledged that there is an issue with the Joy-Con drift because they're repairing them. However,
Right.
they have not stated that they have fixed it.
Right.
They just say they'll repair it.
Right.
And I'm saying, there's no reason for them to update that hard. I mean, of course, aside from fixing it, but from ignoring that, why make all new hardware when you can just put the already Joy-Con hardware you have and just slap it in the Switch Lite?
Right. Which is what we
And
figured was happening, is that they were just using the same parts.
and I saw a guy. Oh, I can't remember his name. I feel so bad, but he did a teardown and showed that the mechanisms are basically the same.
Yeah, you had told me about this. And then we also talked, I think, last week about how there's no hardware inside of it. It's the same guy. I know who you're talking about. He ripped apart the Switch and basically he also showed that there's no output. That they literally removed the whole output of the Switch. Like
Yeah, it's already the Switch dock itself is a lot of magic already,
Right.
and that's why there's not many third-party docks
because it's hard to replicate.
because USB-C is already capable of supporting data. We've already seen a
Sure.
data interaction back and forth. But between the whole system of the Switch being overclocked, because it overclocks its GPU, that's how it appears better on the TV. Like it can go in 1080p.
Right, that's what I thought.
Yeah, it overclocks GPU, but while also maintaining a charge and outputting data. So it's kind of a little bit of voodoo.
Right.
And so that's why there aren't many docks that can really do it. Luckily, I got a hold of a really nice third-party one.
Yeah, you showed me.
But
it is really nice.
I mean, as you said, they just removed the output module. So when you really think about it, they could still leave the output module in there and it could output, but it doesn't fit in the dock. The Joy-Con, the joysticks catch the dock.
Yeah,
it's
prevent
much
it.
Smaller.
Right.
And last thing you need is to be tugging on your joysticks more than you need to be. You'll probably get drift within the first 10 minutes of opening it.
Right.
But they could have, I guess, made a smaller dock if they really wanted to. They could have made a smaller dock because the whole dock is just a big piece of plastic with a small chip in it. That's it.
Basically, yeah.
They could have made a smaller dock, but I mean, for the target audience of the Lite, I guess it makes sense. Why make it usable on a TV if you can't remove the Joy-Con?
Right. The whole premise is for it to be portable, basically.
Yeah.
And it's obviously very oriented to children or teenagers, at least.
Yeah.
We discussed that a bit last week, but I can't believe they just didn't fix this. We discussed this and we're like, if they don't fix it, it's going to be a huge problem for them, especially with this, because you can't. The only way to fix it is to send in the whole system, and that's not going to be okay. We're coming up on Christmas. They're going to sell a shitload of these things at Christmas. That's not going to be okay. You're going to get so many returns after Christmas, within the first 6 months.
It sucks, but it could also be that I remember, we don't know exactly how developing a system works. It could be that maybe by the time Nintendo started to acknowledge that this drift is a real issue, that it may have been too far into development to change.
Well, it also might have just been in production. They might have already made them.
Yeah.
So
either or, it could have been. It could have been one of those.
Right.
So it could be that it's just too late to fix it. I don't know.
It depends on what is causing the drift. Has anybody been able to determine what is causing the drift?
I don't know. I think
'Cause I
people just
haven't heard
assume
anything.
it's a substandard just joystick design or the motor underneath it. It's just really weak. And I've also seen people who have shown that literally putting it in your hand and basically I'm trying to describe the motion. So like, you know how you can put your fist into your hand, like if you
Sure.
hold your hand open facing
Right.
up and you put your fist with your thumb facing up in your hand, there are people who have put their Joy-Con in their grip and literally beaten it against their hand
Right.
to apparently there's maybe people think there's like some sort of thing that's loose at the base of the joystick and
Right.
repeated movement with it causes it to slowly kind of move out of place, and that's what causes the drift.
Right.
And there are people that have said, yeah, I was able to fix my own Joy-Con repeatedly slamming them into my hand.
Jesus.
So
My theory is basically the same thing as I think but not everybody may know that basically what a joystick does is it sits on top of this little square peg and it just basically moves that peg and then the peg communicates to the chips and everything, your movement.
Yeah.
My assumption is that the plastic piece doesn't sit right on that peg. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that it jostles it and then it kind of comes loose, and so that's why you get my assumption is that it comes out of that hole and just kind of sits there awkwardly. I can't confirm that, but I do know that it's like my Joy-Cons had a really, really bad drift. Like consistently it would be going down or to the left. So it depended on what game I was playing. If I'm just using the Joy-Con as its single controller. So, but it always went to the left if you were holding it straight up. The input was always left, no matter what you did. And it was horrible. So I don't know what it is, but they're getting sued, which is not good. But hopefully it gets their butts in motion to actually do something about it, because they need to do something about it. This is like a huge problem, especially because they have the most expensive controllers out on the market. Like their standard controller is the most expensive out there.
Yeah, the Joy-Con are what, $80 a pair.
Yeah, ridiculously expensive. And a single one is what, 50? I think.
Yeah, I think
almost
so.
the price of a PS4 controller and an Xbox.
There's a lot
controller.
of arguments to be made. Some people have said it's because of all the hardware they were able to pack into it, the Amiibo reader and then the IR scanner, which kind of makes no sense. But
it's there. I don't have a problem with that. I have a problem with the fact that I have to pay $50 and the controller breaks sooner than the other ones I could buy.
Like
that's
the
my only issue.
DualShock 4 is a pretty impressive piece of hardware. It's a nice controller, and that's only $60. I think they've lowered the price now too. They're like $55.
Yeah,
just to say that their controllers are cheaper than Microsoft's.
Pretty much. The new controllers, the new colors that come out start at $65, I think. And then basically as time goes on, they release new waves of new colors. They put them down to 50, 55, and then they stay at 55, I think.
Yeah.
The standard black one is like $44 now. Like if you just want a regular black one. So yeah, they need to fix that. It's terrible.
Yeah, I think that's a good note to end on it.
Agreed.
You should just fix it. It's terrible. So that's going to be it for us today. Try and check us out at least once a week. That's how often we try and do this. But we are going to go ahead and get out of here. I am Ambassador Chris.
And I'm Ambassador Michael.
And we'll see you next time.
Goodbye, friends.
We're gone.